Hi friends, this is Jake at Canadian Cutting Edge, and today we're taking a look at another knife by Black Tusk. Yes, Black Tusk. If you remember, I reviewed two of their knives in the past, and both of them were quite poor quality. Some of the people who commented said theirs was quite good. Yeah, I don't know if I could trust them or not, but usually I like to give a knife brand 3 chances. And so, the other day when I was in the mall, I went to the House of Knives store up in Red Deer. It's almost an hour drive from where I live, but we were up in the city anyway, and I saw this. This is the Black Tusk Bomber. House of Knives still has this on their website. I'm covering my face, otherwise it'll focus on that. The only orange one left in stock, $47 and change, I think it is. Some of the House of Knives stores near you might have more of it. I'm actually liking this knife. Does it have problems? Yes, but they're not significant, not like the other ones were. We've got flipper, we've got thumb stud, we've got drop point, stonewash blade, D2 steel, saber grind, and a right pocket clip. It's not designed for the left side, and a good shape that fits in the hand quite well. This is not a small knife. This is a good full-size folder. If you're interested in hearing more, stick around. The full review's coming to you right now. I think it's a pretty good looking knife. Decent design. Size comparison with the Ontario Rat 1. They're very much the same size in knife. Cutting edge longer, but that's very usual for the Ontario Rat 1. And, it's like I said, let's just knock them over. Yeah, this doesn't stand that well because it's on the flipper. Yeah, very similar. We've got, let me close this. Like I said in the intro, we've got a nice drop point here, a swedge that starts way back here at the thumb stud and comes all the way along to the tip, a saber grind that doesn't come up very high, not bad. This blade, with how thick it is behind the grind and that blade shape, how tough it is behind the tip, this is definitely a blade that's designed to be a user. It's a pretty tough design. On this side, it says Bomber right there, and then D2, and then the model BMBR-BL, and the orange will be -OR. It's all belly, very slight straight section back here. Sharpness choil that's just barely big enough, but it is big enough, so I can't really complain about that sharpness choil. So it's designed for cutting and piercing as well. Thumb studs. They are fairly big thumb studs. They stick out further than the handle scales. A little bit bigger than I'd prefer them to be. I like the thumb studs to not be the widest part of the knife. And then we've got the liners. They've got this 3D milling texture. It's like bumps, like a corrugated road if you're driving across this way. Main groove there, and then another groove across here, but then there's a little bit of a wide groove right down the middle, so that's not flat right here. That's another dip. So it's up and down, up and down, up and down, all the way across. That does give extra grip. The texture does help. Those G10 slabs, they're quite thin. Backspacer in here. It's held by 2 pins in there that keep it in place, and it's pretty nice. It's not perfect though. You can see right here, if you're looking at the spine, I can flex that. You can see a dark line right here. So what this line in here probably has a little bit of a curve in it for some reason. So not perfectly executed. Then we've got the pocket clip. It's a right side only pocket clip. A little bit of a cutout in the G10 there for this to sit in. It looks like it's not deep enough this way, but it works to go into most pockets. let's do our demonstration. The tip here just climbs over. I did not have it ever slip and not want to catch. I had it catch each time, so that's good. And then it pinches tight, but it does go all the way to the bottom. When you're wearing a pair of pants, it's not a lot of extra force to push it down. It's a little bit more than some knives, to put in your pocket, but not bad. And then you've just got, that little bit sticking out. You can see that nice Torx screw there. These are hollow screws, the same screw on either end. And that's a T10 Torx screw all the way around. So that's quite good. They did implement a little key on the G10, kind of like what Civivi does on some of their knives, to stop that pivot pin from spinning. Although that wasn't fully successful, I'll show you that when I take the knife apart. But it's a pretty good idea, and it works fairly well. We've got a nice crown on the spine of the handle. That helps that handle to sit nicely in the palm of the hand. I felt very comfortable with this knife in hand, either right or left-handed. A little bit hot, along here, but not very much so. The liners the G10 is inset a little bit, so we've got exposed liners. And it was just during extended use, if I was holding on very tight, that it created a little bit of heat in here. Not bad, but just need to tell you exactly what I experienced. I also found that when I was reaching forward, if I wanted to put extra pressure when I was cutting with my thumb, because the swedge starts right away, it's a little bit thinner. I think it looks good, but I think I would have preferred if the swedge wouldn't have been quite so dramatic, so it wouldn't come quite so thin here. So there'd be a little more substance to push on with my thumb. Right now it was a little thin, so then it would leave a little mark, and that was just from this tiny bit of demonstration. So you can imagine what it feels like after extended pushing. Lockup. It's a little bit too early. I found a couple times when I was using the knife, when I was squeezing it, just the pressure of my finger on here moved it a little bit. I think I can do it there you go. Like that. It's locked now, and now it's unlocked. And I didn't put my thumb here and push it over. So that's not very good. I think it would work fine if, lockup was a little bit further engaged. It wouldn't be that easy to push it over. It does have jimping on the side of the liner lock release. Get your thumb in there, push it over, and that worked every single time. No problem at all. Very easy to cycle the knife. Right or left-handed, not a problem. It's a little bit slower left-handed because you've got to pull up and then get your thumb out of the way. But lefties can use right-handed knives. I grew up left-handed, so that's why I'm fairly good at it. But obviously it's slower than it is for right-handed person. Okay, that's pretty much how the knife looks. Oh wait, I didn't talk about this. The alignment, good. And the blade play, no, not really. Up and down, side to side, no blade play. So now let's take the thing apart. Here it is taken apart. You can see highly skeletonized, quite good. Steel detent ball. We've got steel ball bearings. And there's the back spacer. It's just well made. There's the pocket clip. One thing about it is these screws, the pivot screw and the body screw, are identical. They are not quite D-shaped. I do like it when it's round on the whole surface, but they are indexed to this piece right here. You can see that spot right there. So it goes in there and it keys in place. So there it is, and then you turn it to the right spot and it slips in. Civivi does the same kind of thing. You just have to be careful that the screw doesn't come out a little ways, because then it's going to start spinning freely. So you have to keep a little bit of pressure on there. I didn't realize that when I was taking off the body screw over here by the thumb pocket clip. I turned it a little bit and then it just started free spinning. So I did need to get, 2 screwdrivers, one on either side of it. I used my vise to hold the knife to be safe and then took it apart that way. So you may or may not need 2 screws, and they are T10, both of them. So that's about, oh, here's the back pin here. It's quite nice, the spacer that goes over the pin. So, like that. Oh, I didn't put the liner on, but then this sits over top of that, which gives that look on the end. So no lanyard hole unless you can weasel some paracord through the hole that's through the pivot. It's time now to go over all the sizes, dimensions, and that kind of information. 129 grams, 4.6 ounces, thanks to all that skeletonizing. So this is a pretty big knife. It would be way over 5 ounces if they wouldn't have done that skeletonizing. Sharpness from the factory, 135 best, so that's good, can't complain about it. The cutting edge length, 92.8 millimeters, 3.65 inches. Blade length, 92.3 millimeters, 3.63 inches. The blade thickness, up here at the ricasso, 3.34 millimeters, 1.32 inches, so yeah, well over 1/8 of an inch. The blade depth, the widest point is back here, not quite at the heel, 26.6 millimeters, 1.05 inches. The thickness of the edge behind the grind, about 1.5 inches up from the heel is where I measured it, 0.62 millimeters, 24 thousandths of an inch. I would prefer it closer to 20 thousandths instead of 24 thou, but that's not terrible. So it's definitely got a, working, there it is, I just closed it again. It's especially easy with the left hand. It's got a good working geometry. The grind angles, not so good. I measured it in 4 places, 22 degrees, 16.1 degrees, 14.8 degrees, 13.6 degrees. And on this side, starting at the heel again, 24.1 degrees, 27.7 degrees, 25.8 degrees, 20.3 degrees. Yeah, whoever sharpened these knives hasn't got a hot clue what they're doing. When I did measure this knife, that's when I got the scratches on here. I had tightened it. I thought I had tightened it into my sharpening rig so I could measure the grind angles, and I knocked it a little bit. And so that's what these scratches here are for. That's not a factory issue. I did that. So you can't blame the factory on that. But now back to the rest of the information. The handle length, 122.9 millimeters, 4.84 inches. The grip area, it's right around 10 centimeters, 4 inches. The handle thickness on the G10, 13.5 millimeters, which is 0.531 of an inch, so just barely over half an inch thick, not bad. The handle depth, the biggest spot's right here, 26.7 millimeters, 1.05 inches. The knife depth, the widest point along the length, is actually on the flipper, but just barely. It's almost the same here. 36.2 millimeters, 1.425 inches. And the total length of this knife is 114.9 millimeters, and the inches is on the screen because I forgot to write it down, convert it. Almost 8.5 inches, not quite. Yeah, full-size knife. So what are my thoughts on this? My main thought is, nice try, Black Tusk. Genuinely, nice try. You just didn't quite hit it. The main issue I have is, the lockup here, not that good. It needs to be later, but that's easy for me to fix. Talking about the very early lockup on the Bomber, the knife by Black Tusk that I reviewed before, there's a much easier way than using a scissor jig to, take a little bit of metal off. All I did was hold this like this, but next to my body, took a stone, and just spent some time doing this. I had it slightly tilted this way. So if you're looking down at it slightly tilted this way, because this edge touches the blade first. So I don't want to do it this way. It just took a little while. There was a little grind mark in there. There was a little grind mark there. You can still see it's a little bit shiny right in the middle if I move this back and forth. So that was my point of reference to know how much steel I had taken off. I had taken off just a tiny bit, and now I'm going to test it. I did also put a little bit of extra spring tension on this spring by holding it right here and then with my thumb right there and just give a little bit of pressure until I felt it give just a little bit. That's probably too much pressure right there, but you don't want to move this back and forth, more than twice, because then it's going to work hard and it can crack. So I'd rather have the detent to be a little too strong and have the lockup to be solid and sure than to have it, do this multiple times to try to get it perfect and break it. Since the detent is going to be stronger because the liner lock arm has more tension on it, I just lightly chamfered the hole using a diamond stone that I got with my Dremel kit. And now it works wonderfully. Lockup solid. Blade alignment's a little bit off, but I haven't adjusted everything yet. And detent's okay. A couple of the little things that they could have done to improve it. The flipper seems a little slippery. They could have put some jimping up there. That would have been nice. Ball bearings. The ball bearings are okay. And that's just fine. You do clearly see that knives in Canada cost a whole lot more. $80 for this knife. Well, $79 plus tax. It's about $65 American. That's too much for this knife. Well, thankfully, it's on sale. So $47.40 Canadian. You can get this online in orange at House of Knives. Maybe they even ship to the United States from houseofknives.ca. I don't know. I don't have a referral link. That's about just over $39 US for this knife. I can find a lot of $40 knives that are nicer than this. But in Canada, can I find, a $40 US knife that's better than this? Maybe, but not that easily. It's going to be pretty hard within Canada to find that. And, it's got that flipper that a lot of us Canadians want to get, but it's, hard to import into Canada. But also thumb studs, if that's what you like. The branding on it is not too much. This side, I really wish the D2 and the BMBR would be nice and small up here by the ricasso instead of on the bevel. But the word bomber there, that's okay. It's not too terribly big. I don't mind. And the black Tusk logo, yeah, they didn't make it too terribly big, which that's okay. Pocket clip, functional. I like it. Not bad. Nice 3D milling on the G10. Good grip when you have the knife in hand. Reverse grip, reverse pull grip. A little less comfortable, but you can do it that way too. Feels good right and left. It's a decent knife. I think once I'm finished, fixing it up a tiny bit, it's going to be a fairly good knife. I am getting tired of D2 though. I've been mentioning it in the comments quite a bit, but I haven't really mentioned it that much in the videos. Knife manufacturers, stop it. Yes, D2 is good. I like D2 steel. But as a secondary option, pocket knives, I think, I won't use the word should, but I want to be in stainless steel. Pocket knives are best in stainless steel. Why? They're those, ever ready kind of things in any kind of environment, under any kind of circumstance. And, stainless steel is going to do that for you. It's always going to be ready. D2, you got to do more maintenance, especially in a lot of places in the world where it's more humid or, on the coast. A lot of the world has a coast nearby. Ocean, salty air, it's going to destroy D2 steel, carbon steel. it's tough enough on some stainless steels. So if companies like to make D2, I would suggest make knives with stainless steel and D2 and let the consumer choose. And you're going to find out pretty quickly that the hype for D2 is dying down in the knife world. Knife enthusiasts are getting tired of it. But I doubt that many manufacturers are going to listen to this video about Black Tusk. So there you go. Thanks for watching my video. Thanks for liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. And remember, friends, cut towards your chum, not your thumb. Bye for now.